Welcome back to NY Flight Jets Talk. On this stream, we are joined by die-hard Jets fan, Mr. Fireman Ed. Fireman, how you doing today?
How you doing, Connor? I'm doing good. Doing good.
Doing great. First time on the show, hopefully not the last. Enjoying your weekend
Absolutely.
so far?
I am. I am. Missed football. First
Yeah,
weekend with first Sunday without football. So missed that for sure.
we got to get through these rough few weeks with not a ton of sports. Then
Yeah.
coming weeks, football start to pick back up with the free agency and the draft coming up. We're only in February. There has been some draft talk, but in the coming weeks, I mean, free agency is going to pick up, and we're going to get back in the swing of things. Next thing you know, it'll be week one, right, Fireman?
That's it. Let's go. Let's go. Keep
So
Aaron healthy and have some fun.
this team fully healthy, hopefully make some additions in the offseason that this team can contend and make a long playoff run. Speaking of long playoff run, Fireman, what would it mean to you being a fan of this team for so long and a diehard fan for the Jets to break this playoff drought and potentially go far and make a push for maybe even the Super Bowl?
Well, that's your lips to God's ears. That's what the plan is. I mean, they got Aaron Rodgers for a reason, and unfortunately, he goes down 4 plays into the season. But they got to solidify the offensive line. When they do that, I think we're going to be a contender. I mean, right now, like Louis Riddick, I just read his article this week. He had the Jets in the top 8 without making any moves because of Aaron Rodgers. So, and that doesn't surprise me because I think the Jets are in the top 25% of the league. So, and then, it's a matter of staying healthy and we'll see what happens. But keeping Aaron healthy, we're going to have every shot at a playoff berth.
I agree. You mentioned keeping Aaron healthy. I've said this multiple times, but I can't say it enough. We need a backup quarterback we can look to and say, okay, we don't want to see this guy, but if we need to, and let's say Aaron has another freak injury or Aaron literally just needs to miss 1 quarter of football, we can trot this guy out on the field and we can feel comfortable with him running this offense and hopefully help lead us to victory if we need him to. Some guys I like are Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew, guys that type of nature. And then also I think drafting a quarterback 3 in the draft who can sit behind Aaron for these 1 maybe 2 years that he's with this team. Well, 2 years guaranteed us. He can sit under Aaron and then learn, and then maybe that's our quarterback of the future, who Aaron kind of developed, who we maybe thought Zach Wilson was going to be after fully developed by Aaron. And now, obviously, trade rumors swirling, Zach Wilson probably gone. But I think developing a quarterback is key. You also mentioned offensive line. I think we really need 3 new starters on this offensive line. The keeping Lakin as starters up for debate, but we need at least 2. If you're going to start Lakin, we need at least 2 new starters. I think that comes in the draft, whether it's drafting Tyrese Fuaga, Olufashanu, Joe Alt is not really a possibility, but then there's guys in later rounds also. So I think all of it's offense, and then obviously finding a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. I mean, every position we need to upgrade. We need to find a tight end 3 if we end up cutting CJ Uzama. So rumors are saying he's going to be a June 1 cut. So we need upgrades on every side of the every position on the offensive side of the ball. And then safety, we need help. We only have Tony Adams under contract. And then interior defensive line, we need some help.
I agree. I agree with everything you're saying. Backup quarterback's very essential. It's got to happen. They dropped the ball last year on that. I think also Ryan Tannehill will be in the mix. I think Tyrod Taylor will be in the mix. I think you'll see one of those guys become our backup quarterback. I think one of those 4 guys, I would say, is more than likely to be our backup quarterback. As far as the offensive line, I agree with you. Three. I think we need 3 additions in that offensive line. I agree with that. I do like Carter Warren. I like what he showed in the last 3 games.
He showed
So
flash.
we'll see. And I'm not down on Max Mitchell, who I want them to sign which won't cost a lot. And one of my favorite is Connor McGovern. I want them to re-sign him because he can be a good backup at center. He teaches the kid. He was teaching Tipman. Tipman loves him. So I think Connor would, and I think Connor would welcome that. He'd like to come back. So as a backup, and we need that presence for for senior guys in the locker room. You got to have that veteran presence. So it'll be exciting.
I agree. Offensive line is the most important position. Snowball says, "Yeah, what about getting both tackles in a free agency?" I find that a little unlikely. Some guys, I think, though, free agent. I think Tyron Smith's a solid option. You have a bunch of other guys. I mean, Jonah Williams is another option, but with this free agent tackle class, you're gonna have to overpay. For example, if you look at Jonah Williams, he has struggled to have a consistent year in the league, and he's probably going to get a 5-year, $75 million deal. So
don't be surprised if George Faint they don't re-sign.
Yes, that's a rumor.
I think George wants to come back, so that wouldn't surprise me if they signed George Faint.
I think he would be a great guy to bring back.
Mm-hmm. And they're going to draft a lineman.
Yeah,
with the pick. That's going to happen.
Yes, unless the only instance I don't see the Jets taking a lineman is Odunze's available at 10 and they really like him and they just pull the plug on him. But I think
there'll be two. I think there'll be two things that'll happen when 10 rolls around. They're either going to take their offensive tackle, or they're going to get blown away with a trade down, which only 2, 3, 4 picks. And if they like somebody else as a tackle that they know they can get at that spot, and they can pick up a 2, I could see them doing that. I could absolutely see them doing that. But barring that, I think they'll stand pat at 10 and they'll take an offensive lineman.
I agree. You mentioned George Fant coming back. Where do you stand on the position of the possibility of maybe Jamal Adams returning and coming?
No.
You don't want that?
Absolutely not. 1,000,000% not. He was front runner. He had a lot to say going out the door. Just don't like him. Don't like what he's about. I think he left the Jets and with a very, very bad taste in our mouth, and we got a bunch for him. So I'm happy. We don't need Jamal Adams.
I agree.
Ashton Davis, they're gonna re-sign.
He can play.
You'll see the kid Clark come back. He'll be back. They'll get him on a cheap. The kid from the Ravens.
Get him. 1 year. I think they're saying like 1 year, $4 to $6 million.
Yep, I think that's what they'll do there. I don't think you'll see Jordan Whitehead back. I don't see that. I think he's going to be gone.
I don't think he deserves to be back.
I think they like the kid that they drafted from LSU, Converse.
Oh yeah, Converse. I think
they like that kid. So I think there'll be some different options that they'll, as far as in the back end for the safety position. There's a couple of different options there.
I agree. Converse, I think, was in the 5th round. It might have been.
Mm-hmm.
They were high on him. They were high on him from the defensive back standpoint. Our boy Petey in here. Shout out
to Pablo, my
Connor,
man,
and the great Fireman Ed. I was in a space with Petey, and I was telling him I was getting Fireman on the show, and he told me to say hi because
that's my guy.
Yeah, Petey and you guys are apparently good friends.
Petey's my guy. Petey's one of my favorites. I mean, he may be my favorite. I love Pete. I love everything Pete stands for. He's the best. We need more guys like Pete. We need more Jet fans like Pete.
I agree.
He wears the green and white in his heart and on his sleeve. I love it.
I agree. Wild Wave coming in. We have AVT to play right tackle. We need a left tackle. Bring back Becton to play guard. Stayed healthy and could build chemistry with the guys.
You're going to see AVT. Wild Wave. I don't see AVT at tackle. I think you're going to see him back at guard, and they're going to leave him there.
I want to leave him at guard.
He's going to be your guard, and
Becton, I
You'll
think
see two new tackles. You'll see a rookie on probably the right side, and they're going to sign a veteran on the left side.
you like Tyron Smith. I think Tyron Smith's a great
I don't have any problem. You know, it'll all come down to numbers. You know, it'll come down to the numbers. And, what's his face? Love the kid. Michael Nana was talking about that.
Oh, Mike Nania from Jet X Factor.
How do you say his name? Nana?
Michael Nania.
Nania. Yeah, I like a lot what he says. I think he's a sharp kid. Sharp kid. He does his homework. He's I follow him, so I read a lot of his articles. He's something else. He's something else. I don't agree with everything he says, but I mean, everybody don't agree with everything I say. So I mean, that's what life's about. You know, you gotta have your opinion, and but I think he's very well versed on what he's saying. He does his homework. Actually, I think you could see that kid being picked up by an NFL team. Honestly.
Oh wow.
He's got that kind of talent. I think.
Yeah,
so, on a smaller position. I mean, but I could see that happening for sure. So.
Yeah, I think going back to what Wild Wave said, I think Becton is a little too big to play guard, and also if he was to come back, I think they would just leave him as a backup, maybe swing tackle type of guy.
I think Makai's going to move on. I mean, I like Makai. I like Makai a lot, but
he just doesn't fit in the system.
I don't think you're going to see them sign him. I wouldn't be opposed to it if it's for the right number, for the right thing. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think you'll see him as our starting left tackle. I don't think that's going to happen.
I agree. Snowball. I don't think every tackle in free agency will merit overpaying. I think a lot of them are going to get overpaid, personally.
It's usually when you go in free agency, you get overpaid, no doubt.
I agree.
It's just that really what it comes down to. Honestly, what it comes down to is what they get in their actual guaranteed money. That's the contract. Just blow them up. The contracts mean nothing. It's all about how much guaranteed money you get.
The incentives don't really mean much.
No. I mean, they're good. They're good, hey, because a lot of guys feel like that's something that they could achieve. So if a team does give them that kind of incentives that they like, but most guys want that guaranteed money because, the NFL is not for long. Mm-hmm. Stands for not for long. And so they got to get their money. And I don't blame them. Any guy that can get his money, I'm all for it. The players, it's a shame, but it's a tough sport and guys get hurt and they wind up never coming back. So I always want those guys to get as much money as they can.
I agree. That's why I want Bryce Huff, even if he doesn't get paid by the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to go out somewhere and make a bag and just dominate the league. I mean, that guy is one of my favorite players ever play the game. If you look at him, Joe Douglas found him out of nowhere. He's undrafted. We brought him in. I mean, and then
they should have signed him last year. They should have.
I know.
In the off season last year, they should have signed him. They tendered him, and he got $4.3 million. They should have right after that happened. They should have signed him, and I think he would have signed with us. And then he had a monster year, and this is what happens. And they're going to wind up losing him and getting a third-round compensatory pick, which is going to piss me off, but it is what it is.
I know. That's why I was.
I mean, it's crazy to see that guy go. He could be so dominant, but I'm not a big believer in like Salah's, the way he rotates these guys on the defensive line drive me nuts.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, because, you got guys that should be playing a lot more. And I'm not saying that you can't have a rotation of 8, 9 guys, but I think the percentages of who's playing, I could be up for debate. Like there was a point last year. Well, last year was the best they played Quinnen. Quinnen played like 70% of the snaps, but there was a point where Quinnen was playing like 58, 62, 63%. That's insane. He should be playing 3/4 of the time. He should be out there 75% of the time.
I agree.
I don't know. So I have a problem with the way he operates that. Listen, his defense is good. I don't think they're great. I think they're good. They're a good defense. They're not great defense. Jets are not a great defense. I think they're a good defense, but I also think there's reasons for that. I think they were on the field quite a bit. When you actually have that's a competent quarterback that can play, it's gonna lessen the pressure on your defense. Therefore, they'll perform at even a higher level because they're not out there trying to every week, hold them to 10, 12, 14, 15 points. I mean, it's the NFL. The rules are not made for the defense. So it's very hard to have that level, to attain that level and keep it on a consistent basis. And it's all about the quarterback play. That's why Aaron Rodgers will benefit the defense. Who I want to see the defense, speaking of the defense, who I want to see the Jets sign, which they almost signed last year. He was just about going to sign. I want Fletcher Cox on that defense. I want Fletcher Cox. He almost signed with us. He would be so good in that rotation. Oh, baby. I'd love to see him.
I agree. You mentioned the rotation. I think one of the hardest things, though, that you have to think of is when you mentioned Saleh rotating the defensive line. There is so much talent on this defensive line. It's almost hard to balance it and kind of spread it out evenly. Like if you look, Carl Lawson, but at the time I thought Carl Lawson was a great signing, and that guy was going to go crazy with this team. He was incredible with the Bengals. And yeah, you look at a guy like Carl Lawson, he tears his ACL in his first year with the team in training camp. So that year's out the window. Comes in, doesn't play a ton. He was basically inactive for every game this year, and when he was active, he barely played. If you look at a guy like that, he can be I don't know about number one, but a number two and a very serviceable number three guy on any other team in the league. So that just goes to show how talented this defensive line really is.
Yeah, they're definitely a talented team, but they need some additions. I like Sean Jefferson coming back. I want to see them sign him. The two moves that I want to see them make on the defensive line is Sean Jefferson and Fletcher Cox. Those are the guys I want to see them get, because that will compensate Quinnen. That'll help Quinnen a ton.
I think Quinnen needs a lot of help. That's why I mentioned interior defensive linemen are very important. If you look, Solomon Thomas had a great year. I'd love bringing him back. When I was talking to Marty Lyons about it last weekend, he was talking to Quinnen, and these guys are doubling Quinnen up, and that's leaving the door open for the other interior guys. So last year it was Solly to go in and get sacks. Solomon, I think, had 5 sacks or something, and then a ton of tackle for losses. And he just had a great year. Number 3 overall pick type of guy. Didn't really live up to the hype when he was drafted. But like, if you look at me and told me that guy was drafted in the 4th round, you'd say, like, who said that? Someone said that to me. I think it wasn't Marty Lyons. It might have been another Jets content creator. But he said to me, if you look at Solomon Thomas and say he was drafted in the 4th round, you'd think he's a superstar. So that just kind of goes to show how much draft position really means. But I mean, that guy, he was okay his first year with the Jets. Then we re-sign him, and then he comes this year, and I mean,
he played well this year. He played well.
Great year.
If you gave me a choice of him or Fletcher Cox, I'm taking Fletcher Cox.
Well, obviously Fletcher Cox, but you also have to take into consideration the money. Solomon Thomas is getting paid $4 million a year. Versus Fletcher Cox, I don't even know how much Fletcher Cox is getting paid.
You probably get for about 7, I would say.
Let's see. But I think Fletcher Cox contract. He was just $10 million.
He made 10?
Mm-hmm.
You might be able to get him for maybe 8 because of his age. You might. But
he's solid,
he's a valuable player. He's a valuable player. He's got a lot left in the tank. So that
he's very dominant.
I would make that move if I could. For that extra $5 million, I would make the move.
See, if it was right now, Fletcher Cox $10 million a year, I'd personally turn it down. But if we can get him, like you said, $7 million and negotiate that money down a little,
maybe
I'd take him.
We'll see. See, he's going to be out there though. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I have Wild Wave has a question.
Okay.
What's your opinion on this regime, JD and Salah?
I love Joe Douglas. I'm a little concerned with the fact that Rex Hogan, his right-hand man, who was my guy, and Chad Alexander have left. That concerns me. I don't know why they left. I don't understand that. That was the right and left-hand man of Joe Douglas. So that's very concerning to me. Obviously, it'll come out and, eventually. Do I believe that they were the leagues talking? No, I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that 1 minute. As far as Salah, I think Salah needs to be more, rather than, I like Coach. I think he's grown with us, but I think what's happening with Coach is he's too nice of a guy to everybody. I wish he would just be a little more tougher with these guys, and maybe he's doing that behind the scenes, but I'd like him to do it right at game time. Like these guys messing up. We've had more personal foul penalties, especially on the defensive end of the ball. That that's inexcusable. You got to take that kid. You got to take them off the field. Nobody's bigger than the team. Nobody's bigger than the team. It doesn't mean that you berate them. I'm not talking about berating them. I'm talking about setting the tone and getting him off the field. Get him off the field and set the tone and let them know it's unacceptable. So those are the things that bother me with Coach Salah. I don't like him texting with, different people. I don't like it. I want, you got to watch what you're doing. You got to, you're the head coach. Be the head coach.
You mentioned disciplining. I think the furthest I've seen him discipline a player was I think it was the Black Friday game. We stuffed Raheem Mostert behind the line, and I think it was Quentin Jefferson, who ended up having a great rest of the season, got called for like a taunting penalty or something. Salah actually took him out of the game and then didn't put him back in until like the third or fourth quarter, and it was the first play of the game. I found that interesting, but I agree with what you're saying with the discipline. He's back for this year, so.
Oh, I don't have any problem with him coming back because I want to see them work this thing through. They have to run this thing through with Aaron Rodgers. There's no sense in changing coaches. Rodgers wouldn't want that. He didn't come here, with the idea of all of a sudden we're going to start changing things. That's not going to happen. So you gotta let it play out. And I think they did the right thing. But those are the two things that concern me with our regime. Am I supportive of both of them? 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. But do I agree with a lot of some of the things that they do? Joe Douglas could have had a better year as far as personnel wise. I think he listened a little too much to Aaron. And not that you don't, because you should listen to Aaron, right? He's Hall of Famer, so you should listen to him. So I don't have a problem with that. But some of the moves that were made were, I didn't understand the McCole Hardman. I for the life of me can't understand that. It wasn't like the kid Gibson blew the doors off of anybody. He got more run than McCole even got a chance to play. McCole Hardman never even got a chance to play.
He had one catch for 1 yard.
All right, he never got a chance to play. And I just, those were some of the things. Not getting a backup quarterback, another thing that bothered. There's things that were they really dropped the ball last year in many ways, because we won 7 games with a capable backup quarterback. I think we might have gotten the playoffs with that defense and the way Breece Hall was playing.
I mean Breece Hall had
Come on, so there's a lot. There's some different things. Um, I don't agree with some of the stuff that the regime's done, but hey, that's part of the game. There's also some great things they've done. So it's a little bit of both. But the bottom line, I want them to stay. I want them to see this thing through with Rodgers, and then we'll see where it goes.
I agree. Well, we had to give them that one more year.
Yes,
as some people disagreed with Woody. The thing I didn't like about it is Woody came out and said that in season. At least give yourself the right to come back in the off season and maybe review and say, okay, do we really want to keep these guys in charge? Like, don't. I think it was right before the Christmas Eve game, and I was like, why are you doing that right now?
I don't think he really had a choice because, with Aaron Rodgers unexpectedly going down, nobody thought that. So you're never gonna. He would actually be foolish as much as the people that want Salah gone and Douglas gone. All right, that's frustration in 13, 14 years of no playoffs. Okay, that's where that all exists. The bottom line is you gotta let Aaron Rodgers have a chance to play in this team with Nathaniel Hackett and see where it goes. You can't just all of a sudden blow it up. It doesn't make sense. People around the league would actually laugh at you. They would laugh at the Jets for doing something like that. Okay? That's the bottom line. You got to see this thing through. And hopefully Sal is learning from some of his mistakes. I want to see the coach grow in front of our eyes. I want them to have a successful monster year next year so that we can keep this regime intact. I want to see them sign another 5-year deal because we're all excited about it. I don't want to change hands again. I don't want to do it. So I'm rooting like heck for the coach and JD, but I don't like the fact that Rex Hogan and Chad Alexander left the organization. That bothers me.
I agree
a lot.
The Rex Hogan thing does bother me.
Love Rex.
Just because he was right by Douglas's side, and they were saying it was in the works for several weeks. The Chad Alexander thing is a huge loss, but good for him. He's got promoted and now he's taking an assistant GM job.
I thought he would have took the promotion to Rex's job. That's what I would have thought.
Yeah, but
I would have thought that. And
new head coach
it didn't happen. Didn't happen. So he went with Harbaugh. So there's parts of me that says is the handwriting on the wall is because these guys, they only last 4 or 5 years. They have contracts for 4 or 5 years with the regime they're in. And if they see something going south, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that's not the case. So we'll see. It'll all come out. It'll all come out why the both of them left.
I agree.
Time. It'll come
Alan,
out.
Jets must draft a tackle at 10, or my wish is to move up and get Joe Alt. He is a 10 to 12-year starter at left tackle from day one. I think the possibilities of trading up are literally this large. I think trading down is the way to go, if anything. Yeah. I understand with what you're saying because I look at Joe Alt and I look at him and I see Joe Thomas the way he plays. He is solid, but I don't think Olu Fashanu is a bad prospect or that much of a drop off where we'd have to give up. If we're going to trade up to, let's say, we'd probably have to trade up to pick 6 to assure that Alt's there. I'd rather just trade if we're
we're not trading with the Giants. That's not gonna happen.
I know, and if we were to do that, I'd rather just trade up to pick 3 or 4 and us get Marvin Harrison. I'd rather have Marvin Harrison over Joe Alt. As crazy as that sounds, we do need more tackle help, but
we need the big boys. You gotta get the big boys. You don't win in this league without the big boys.
Offensive line is so important, but
gotta have the big boys. They gotta load up. The more the merrier.
I agree, but the you need playmakers too. We
have playmakers, and
we do have playmakers.
Don't be surprised if Corey Davis gets re-signed.
That's what I've been hearing. Jake Asman said that.
Yeah, no, but that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I think
But they're
what
still going to sign another guy.
when
There'll still
he
be another wide receiver in the fold, even if Corey comes back. He's not. That's not. They're going with young kids, and I believe they're going to establish themselves with a little more veteran presence.
I agree. When he left this team, when he did his like retirement thing or whatever, when he
Mm-hmm.
stepping away from football at the training camp, I think it was. I saw that and I'm like, that move is gonna hurt the team. That
I,
guy was a solid player for this team. I remember when we signed him, we were all very happy because that was a huge move. I remember with the Titans, the way he played with the Titans reminded me of the way Juju Smith-Schuster played when he was with the Steelers. They
Steelers.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
The Titans had AJ Brown. So when you have a wide receiver one who's gaining traction from those
Mm-hmm.
defensive backs, it opens up the door for Corey Davis, who at the time produced incredible numbers for them. That's why it's so important we bring in like a maybe not even as talented as Mike Evans. Maybe we get Cortland Sutton and bring
Mm-hmm.
him in from his
Yep.
2-year, $14 million contract, which will pay him $7 million a year. That would be a great financial move.
I would agree with that. I agree with that.
I agree. One more question before we go. Snowball, what's your opinion of the pro personnel scouting department now compares to the McCagnon era?
Oh, it's night and day. I mean, obviously, that's just it's evident. I'm thrilled with all the undrafted free agents they picked up and waiver wire.
Yeah,
Between Quincy Williams and
Bryce, huh?
Bryce Huff and Tony Adams, and
Tony was a great find.
I mean, you know, there's other guys too. I'm trying to think. He made some really good moves, really good moves. So I think I listen. I love Joe Douglas. Like I said to you, disappointed in the two guys that left the organization. So that's a little scary to me. Those are your top guys leaving. So we'll see. We'll see where this all goes and what pans out. But get Aaron back and let's go. Let's go.
I agree. Thank you guys for watching. I'll be live on a different stream on this channel, though, 4 o'clock, joined by reporter for SNY, Connor Hughes. Thank you guys for watching. Fireman, thank you for joining us. Any final thoughts?
No, all good. I love what you did. I enjoyed the show. All the best, and I'll come on again anytime.
Thank you guys for watching, and as always,
Jets, 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 Jets. Let's go.
you heard it from the man himself. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next one, 4 p.m. Connor Hughes.
Bye-bye.